Okay, this is the Nurse Ninja talking about the hypersensitivity reactions. We have number one, type 1 is IgE mediated hypersensitivity. And this is like the normal anaphylactic reaction that you expect when someone says, I have allergies to something, or I'm allergic to that, food, I'm allergic to that, to dogs, I'm allergic to cats. Like, they actually have something to be worried about because these type 1 IgE mediated hypersensitivities are really kind of dangerous. I mean, it's really the thing you have to worry about is like the histamine when it's released. And when that happens, you have bronchoconstriction of the small respiratory passages. And so you can't breathe because the air can't go into the bronchioles. And then, so if it can't get into the bronchioles, it can't get into the alveoli where the gas exchange happens. Your body starts secreting mucus to try to, catch any like foreign uh, antigens, bodies, or any foreign particles, basically. And then your capillary, the fluid from your capillaries, starts to pour out of the veins, out of the capillaries, because it wants to let out the lymphocytes, macrophages, stuff like that. And so basically you start getting, that's where you see like the red stuff on your fingers, your whole body, you start getting hives, which is called urticaria. It just gets all red because your blood vessels are basically dilating. Not dilating, but they're getting more permeable. So you see the blood leaking out of the veins into your tissue. Um, And why is it doing this? The reason it does this is because when you have an antigen or an allergen that invades your body, it goes into your body, your plasma cells are actually there to recognize what antigen it is, and then they produce antibodies. And the antibodies that we're talking about is IgE. That's why this is called type 1 IgE mediated hypersensitivity. So IgEs are what cause this whole chain of events to happen. Now, when the plasma cell actually produces all these IgEs, they attach to what's called mast cells, MAST cells. And now these IgEs are attached to the outer portion of these mast cells, and they're just waiting to connect to the antigen. So the next time you have response, the next time like another allergen comes your way, now the mast cells have these IgEs connected to it. They attach and recognize these. They attach to and recognize these allergens, and right there, boom, the mast cells open up and they start like just blasting these antigens, and granules come out. Granules are like they're bullets, and granules are what kill antigens or foreign bodies, and they release antigen and histamine and other chemical mediators that cause the capillaries to pour out fluid to fight these guys. They release mucus to catch any foreign bodies, and they also close the bronchial passages in your lungs. So with the combination of these three things, you have arrhythmia or urticaria, mucus being secreted, and in your windpipe or whatever, mucus is gonna decrease the airflow to your lungs, and then you have the actual constriction of the passageways to your lungs. So these three things, I mean, you're not gonna be able to breathe. You can't breathe. Yeah, you can't live. You will probably die. Most of these types of reactions are usually localized, so it's usually not systemic, like the one I just described was a systemic one, but most of them are just like localized. So when the histamine comes out, you have vasodilation, capillary permeability, smooth muscle relaxation, bronchial constriction. You first feel a sense of like uneasiness, lightheadedness, and maybe your palms get itchy, scalp can get itchy. Hives start to develop along with puffy eyelids, lips, tongue, hands, feet, genitals, and then swelling can affect your uvula and your larynx. You know, it's in your upper esophagus, and it stops. I mean, impairs breathing. This is further, you know, complicated because the bronchioles start getting constricted. Then you have air hunger, and then stridor is like a very big sound. I mean, not a big, it's like a very huge indicator that an anaphylactic reaction is happening because the, you know, your passageways in your lungs is starting to get smaller and tighter. So you start hearing the wind make this like type of sound. And then you can get wheezing or a barking cough like that found in pertussis. These effects can be lethal if you can't take care of it right away. And then vasodilation, fluid loss can lead to impaired tissue perfusion, hypotension, and then that can go all the way down to anaphylactic shock. So, you know, keep away from pollens, fungal spores, house dust mites, animal dander, and feathers that could cause an allergic reaction. If I mean, it rarely happens, but if you're allergic to some foods, you'll see that you can get nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and cramping. And then urticaria, which is hives. Hives is like the most common systemic response to food allergies. So hopefully this helped somebody out there. Nursing students specifically would benefit from this. IgE mediated hypersensitivity. Thank you very much for listening to the Nurse Ninja. Subscribe.